Our model Lexi has medium density, soft, wavy hair. Her color is a single process high lift blonde. She has a lot of natural body and bounce. Our pureforms short layers technique is an ideal way to refresh her look. Simply beautiful, classy and modern, short layers is a technique that allows you great versatility. Before cutting, it's very important to pay particular attention to the bone structure, texture, hair density, and growth patterns, especially around the crown and the hairline. To determine the ideal length and suitability of this haircut to your client's features, comb the hair off the face, observe the individual's face shape, features, and proportions, and pre-visualize how this haircut will frame her face. Her hair was primed with the Quash C-Extend Strengthening Shampoo and Conditioner. With powerful algae biostrengtheners and sea silk proteins that increase tensile strength, this regimen improves elasticity and stops breakage. When used regularly, this regimen can make hair up to 3 times stronger. Eric uses Quash Hydrating Mist as a cutting lotion to equalize porosity, moisturize the hair, and create the ideal level of slip while combing. Hydrating Mist is a powerful leave-in conditioner that infuses dry, damaged hair with sea silk proteins, leaving the hair silky, vibrant, and easy to manage. No matter how much you use, it will never weigh the hair down. Eric combs through Hydrating Mist to ensure even product distribution. Eric begins his haircut by creating a horseshoe-shaped parting that originates at the right temple and curves around the crown, ending back around on the left temple. He'll twist this section and clip it out of the way. Next, he'll subdivide the back down the middle and create 2 horizontal partings that originate just above the occipital bone and end at the top of each ear. Before cutting, he tilts the head down to make it easier to cut his line below the occipital. To create a good foundation for this haircut, we recommend you always begin cutting at the nape and work your way up. He begins to create his guide by sectioning a center strip, holding it straight out at a 90-degree angle and cutting it to the desired length, always taking into consideration the previously cut hair and pre-visualizing how it will blend with the longer layers on top. The short layers cut will be executed using a traveling guide, where each section is combed back to the previous one and cut using the previous section as your guide. When cutting the left side, the palm of your holding hand will face out with the fingers pointing upward. When you reach the area behind the ear, if you notice this area is thinner and weaker than the back, we recommend that you over-direct the last couple of sections slightly to build extra weight. After cutting this panel, Eric cross-checks horizontally. We recommend that you always cross-check your haircut in the opposite direction of the original cut, but keep the hair held to the same degree of elevation. Remember, cross-checking is a technique used for cleaning up any imperfections in your line. You do not want to reshape your line using this technique. Now Eric cleans up the hairline. He also lightens up the nape with the tips of his scissors used in our surface cutting technique, where he slightly opens and closes his blades without ever totally closing them as he cuts into the surface of the hair to slim the nape area. Next, he begins cutting the panel above the occipital bone. He uses the panel below as his guide. The first section will be held at a 90-degree angle and cut to match the length below. Using a traveling guide, he will bring the next section to his original guide and cut to match his guide. As you continue cutting around the head, it's important to take sections that are thin enough so that you can always see your guide underneath. It depends on the density of the hair, but when layering, we recommend that you take sections that are less than a half an inch to avoid creating steps in your line. It's important to be consistent with your combing, making sure to comb from roots to ends in a clean, neat manner, and then you cut with short, precise strokes. This is a very easy haircut to execute. Eric continues to use the previously cut section as his guide. He uses his traveling guide to pivot around the head until he finishes at the front left hairline. As he reaches the front of the ear, he begins to slightly over-direct to increase the length in this area. Just be sure to remember exactly how much you're over-directing so you will be able to match the length on the opposite side. To cross-check the line, he cleans up any imperfections, holding the hair horizontally but at the same degree of elevation as his original cut. Since he had over-directed the area behind the ear to create more weight, now that the sides are complete, he returns to this area and lightens the line using our point cutting technique. With point cutting, you chip into your line only for about 1/4 inch in using just the point of your scissors. This is a great technique to use when you want to diffuse a line and remove weight. Now Eric begins to cut the right side. I have always heard it said that the first side that you cut is emotionally more difficult because you must choose the length that you will cut to, and that the second side is technically more difficult because in this case, now you must match the side you cut first. When cutting the right side, the palm of your holding hand should stay facing out, but this time your fingers will point down. For a right-handed cutter, this side is easier to cut because you are following a direct continuation of the line below. It's important to constantly be aware of your cutting angle and your level of elevation to ensure accuracy and to keep your section small, clean, and neat. Always being able to see your guide. As he finishes cutting each panel, he cross-checks horizontally while continuously evaluating the form that he is creating. It's important to constantly evaluate your haircut visually as you move across the head. As he cuts each section, Eric likes to run his fingers through and to shake the hair, assessing the fluidity and blending of the layers. Eric cross-checks the area behind the ear horizontally. When you reach the top of the ear, check against the opposite side to be sure both sides are even. As he reaches the front of the ear, he begins to slightly over-direct his sections to increase the length in front of the ear. When using our pureforms system, you will always have the option to customize each haircut and make it suitable to the individual needs of your client. Eric will now cross-check the sides, making sure not to remove the length that he intentionally left in at the temple. Eric will now revisit the area behind the ear, removing any excess length and weight. He will fine-tune at the nape with our surface cutting technique. He will also clean up the hairline. Before cutting the top panel, he re-moisturizes with a gouache hydrating mist. It's important to keep the moisture balance consistent throughout the haircut, because the hair stretches to different degrees depending on how wet it is. If you begin your haircut evenly wet and finish it with the hair partially dry, you'll never be able to achieve consistent and accurate results. Eric distributes the hair on the top panel around the circumference of the head before cutting. The top section will be cut using the previously cut crown section as your guide. The top section is the most important because in this shorter haircut, it will become the focal point of your design. So it's very important to keep your partings clean and neat. When you cut the top, you will be cutting using a traveling guide as you comb the hair toward the previously cut section. But you will also use the sides as your guide to ensure your line blends from side to side. To create an even, consistent workflow, Eric recommends you first cut the center of the section, combing the hair to the previous guide, and then cut the outer portion of your section, blending it with the sides. To maintain accuracy, we recommend that you cut using this rhythm throughout the entire top section. As he reaches the point on the top that aligns with the top of the ears, Eric begins to over-direct his sections to increase the length as he cuts forward. This will allow him to create a longer, more modern fringe. Eric will continue to over-direct the sections and cut using short, clean strokes. He will cross-check the top in the opposite direction, but using the same level of elevation, maintaining the length in the front. Eric cross-checks the sides to be sure they blend evenly and fluidly. Remember, the goal of cross-checking is to clean up any imperfections in the line. Make sure not to change the shape of your line during cross-checking. Eric will repeat the technique on the opposite side. He will fine-tune the fringe area using our point cutting technique. His goal is to keep most of the length in this area so that it reaches the bridge of the nose. He begins cutting at the receding point of the hairline, and he point cuts, gradually increasing the length as he reaches the center of the fringe to allow the hair to sweep across the forehead when it is styled. He makes sure the fringe blends with the sides. Eric remoisturizes with a gouache hydrating mist as needed. The great benefit of using hydrating mist as your cutting lotion is that you are conditioning the hair as you cut. Your customers will love the feel of their hair, and no matter how much you use, it will never weigh the hair down. He repeats the technique on the right side and evaluates the length, weight, and balance of this haircut. As a primer, Eric likes to use a gouache hydrating mist. Hydrating mist is our ultralight leave-in conditioner. Eric uses it as a cutting lotion throughout the Pureforms educational program, but it's also a great product to apply before styling to replenish moisture, increase slip, and seal the cuticle. He combs through for even product distribution. To style, he chooses a gouache sea salt spray. This volume-building, styling, and texturizing spray, infused with Dead Sea salts, add thickness and volume, allowing you to create random texture and definition. He combs through for even product distribution. Eric blow dries using his fingers to create a soft, random, organic look. He smooths the hair around the face with the gouache styling brush. After the hair has been dried, he continues using the blow dryer, directing the hair with his fingers to create volume, definition, and random texture. Now Eric will personalize Lexi's haircut. Eric will use our scissor over comb technique to refine and blend the nape area. He likes to use a wide tooth comb for this technique. Be sure your section is tangle-free and comb upward with a smooth sweeping motion through the section you wish to blend. Follow the movement of your comb with your scissors as you clean up your line using fast, clean, short strokes. We recommend you begin using a scissor over comb technique on the center section and move toward the outside to maintain proper balance. Anytime you work below the occipital bone, we recommend keeping the head tilted slightly forward until a straight line is created between the occipital bone and the bottom of the neck. Eric cleans up the neckline as needed using our point cutting technique to keep the line soft and diffused. Freehand personalizing ensures the quality and accuracy of this haircut, and it allows you to customize each haircut to suit the individual. Eric will evaluate the blending, balance, and fluidity of his design. And here's Lexi's Pureforms Short Layers haircut.